Okay, so I've got the Herman Miller site open there with these families that I can load, and just going back into Revit so that it's clear. Remember, you have the floors, walls and ceilings, which aren't loadable, and you can always tell because if you select them and choose edit type, it will say system family at the top, and you can't choose. That's right, exactly. And on the down arrow there's nothing to choose. So don't be worried when that happens. That's the way it's meant to be. But if I click on, say, door, then looking in the list here, we have a few to choose, and I've got the option always to choose load family, and then go to the doors folder and load in any others that I want. Notice also there's no walls folder here, no floors or no ceilings folder. So, so I can put a door in easily in a 3D view, or I can place it in a plan. And you're probably getting used to placing doors and windows. Doors and windows can be a little bit tricky to make. You can definitely make any that you want, and I do make most of my own door and window families from scratch. But at first you probably get most of the things you need just by loading them from a library. So don't forget Trend have their Revit files there, which is a nice thing. You can easily download those. And so in Chrome it seems to work pretty well, and so maybe I'll just download the sliding door here. I've already downloaded the window, and I'll open those up, and I will copy them right away into a folder you can access. So into the Revit library folder on the P drive. But when you're downloading your own, just make sure you know where you've saved them, and then it's a really easy thing to load in. So I put the window into the window folder. So one way of loading them is to use load family and then select the file. But another good way is to open the file. So I've just double clicked on it to open it. And then from within that family file, you can click on loading the project. And so this is just to make it clear that families in Revit can be stored as separate files, and loadable families generally are. So windows, doors, furniture isn't stored initially in your project file. It has a separate file, and that's very different to, say, AutoCAD, where you have blocks and AutoCAD files. And in AutoCAD, notice when you load a block, you're just choosing from a list of AutoCAD drawing files. They're all DWG files. But Revit's different. In Revit, I'll just show you by going to Save As. They're a different format. They're RFA files. So have you noticed the extension for project files? The files you've been saving? Well, some of them will be. The families will be, but then the files you've been working in so far are RVT. So RVT is a Revit project file. And they're different. They're totally different file format. So notice at the top there, I don't have the same tabs as you would have in a project file. Normally you'd have architecture, insert, annotate, and then some other different tabs. I can't remember them all, but it wouldn't look like this. You definitely wouldn't have create as your first tab. Yeah. And you have the wall tool and the door tool. Again, we don't have any of those things. We've got these buttons to make extrusions and other things. So that tells you it's a family file. And if I choose there, load into project, it'll give me a list of the files that are open. And it's not just the project files. I know it says load into project, but you can potentially load into other families. So you've got to be aware of that. You've got the domain warehouse, there's my project file, and then the other one, double height, double panel door, is an RFA file. So that's a family file. That's the door that I had open earlier.
The RFA
Exactly, yep.
If you click that, would that change that family file into a new
No, not necessarily. We'll just load this window into it, so I'd have the option of placing the window in with the door if I wanted to.
Oh, okay.
But I would have to place it. Yeah, it brings that all of this geometry into that other file so I can use it there. But I wouldn't have to use it. So I would use it in the project file anyway. And at first that's what you'll be doing mostly, just choosing your project file. So you're finding the RVT file and ticking that. Click OK. And now I can place that window. So if I want it in this wall here, I can just click on the wall. Maybe go to the 3D view. And there it is. And that's a good way of working with downloaded content. So I'll get a chair this time. Where's the one I wanted? My favourite chair. Now I can't see it. There it is. The instant launch chair. And so again, here we've got a Revit file that can be downloaded. I'm just going to click on that link. And then you can see there it's asking me to save that, and it's a zip file. So I need to download that first before I can open it. Sometimes you can just open them. And if you've ever wondered what the difference there is between open and save, if you use open, it'll try and open it with Revit if it's an RFA file. But because it's a zip file, do you know what a zip file is? Yeah, exactly. That's right, it's just a compressed file. So zip is a compressed format, and it's best to save that. So I'm going to choose Save As and choose somewhere for it to go. So I'm just going to put it into the Downloads folder here. Click Save. Exactly. And then I'll click Open Folder at the bottom there. So IE is good for this. I really like the way IE downloads compared to Chrome, but unfortunately, you've saying, yeah, it's falling away in other areas. So when you right-click on a zip file, if you have WinZip, you can just go down to WinZip and choose Extract to here, or Extract to Folder, or Extract to the folder name it gives you. Up to you. But you need to extract it. If you don't have WinZip, you can extract it using Windows anyway. So there we are, it's downloaded, and we've got a couple of files there. Now the text file is probably not necessary. If you open that up, it's just got the finishes and things like that. You can, yep. It's tiny, it's not going to save you much space, but yeah, you can if you don't want it. Yep. And so then the family file, again, I can double click to open it in the current instance of Revit. And that helps when you download something, just so you know what's there apart from anything else. And then you can make changes to it if you want to as well before you load it. But I'm happy with it the way it is. So again, loading the project, domain warehouse, I'll click OK. And now, because I'm in a plan view, I can just place that where I want it to go. Now, sometimes that won't happen. Sometimes it'll go into a 3D view or a different view to the one you expect. So these are perspective views which aren't really very useful anymore, and they might be the ones that will open. And you can't place families in those views. If that happens, just change to the view you want to work in, so the plan view, and then if you click on the right tool, so I know that was a furniture piece, so I can click on component, and then you'll see it's still loaded. So there you can see in properties, it's already selected. So it will load even if it doesn't let you place it initially. So you just have to check that sometimes.
Sometimes you need to load it as a component, not separately.
Yeah, well you just need to click on the component button after you've loaded it.
But we won't know any sometimes.
It depends on the view, yeah, so sometimes, yeah. So, so just watch out for that. Otherwise, if you can't find it in the list there, sometimes you might need to choose load family and then just see if you can load it again. Or check that you've got the right category. And that's one of the other problems people have. I see it all the time. People will go to maybe, let's say door, go to load family, and then go and look in, say, curtain wall panels, and find these nice double doors. You think, well, that's great, I'm loading doors, I should be able to choose that. Click open, it's not there. In properties, that's right, exactly. It's, even though it is a kind of door, it's a curtain wall panel. So you need to load it differently. You load it by placing a curtain wall panel, which is a different sort of thing. Yeah, exactly. So just watch out of that. Watch out with that. Revit's pretty fussy with the categories you use, but generally, if something isn't a door or a window or a column, it should be a component usually. So again, by clicking on component and then going to load family, you can go through most of these folders. So not annotations or boundary conditions, but or in cable trays, but then casework, entourage, fire protection, furniture, lighting, most of mechanical, openings, some openings as well, planting, plumbing, not railings, what else? Structural columns. Oh no, sorry, you load them with columns, so definitely not those. That's about it. But so a lot of those folders you can see there with components. Yeah, but this library you have when you install a program anyway.
Oh, it's automatic.
Yeah, that's the default library. And that's one of the great things about Revit. They give you a pretty good default library and then you can easily add to it.
It's the most refined.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. Revit City has all the default stuff. Yeah, yeah. And then the library we've got here though, that's just called Revit Library, that's the one you might want to copy. It's fairly large though, so it'll take you a while to copy. It's a few gig, 3 and a bit gig. But yeah, you're welcome to copy that. It's a good one to have. And so everything I download in here I put into there. And so I'm going to put the chair in, so that Henry Miller chair I'll add to the furniture folder there. And I suppose I'll put in chairs. Oops, I don't want a shortcut, I want the file. There we go. And so now you can always load it yourselves just by going to furniture, chairs, and there it is. Don't worry if you don't get a thumbnail for it. That's common for things in different version. So then, if I can camera view through there, we'll see those things. So it's that easy, and so just experiment and see how many things you can get by downloading them instead of creating them. You can, of course, create your own, and that's something we're going to be spending more time on as we go through the rest of the subject. So if you select any of those families, final thing I want to show you there, whether it's a door, window, or a piece of furniture, you'll get the option to edit family. Any loadable family will always give you that option. Once you choose edit family, it'll take you into the family file it's come from. And you can add to it or even remove things. So I might decide, well, I don't want a timber reveal on that window. So I can delete it and then load back into my project file. So I'm not going to save it. I don't want the library file to change. So I'm going to just click load into project, leave my file ticked, click OK, and then choose overwrite the existing version. Normally, if you get this message, just choose the top option, unless you know you've got a parameter you've changed, but you'll know when you do. So here, overwrite the existing version, and it's going to remove that reveal, that extra piece of timber from the inside of not just that window, but all of the windows that are the same type. Exactly, yep. And so making families can be fairly complicated, but modifying families often isn't. And so at this stage you should definitely be able to start experimenting with families that you load and seeing if you can make changes. Yeah, but I'm pretty much done. So yeah, so I'll just maybe with this give you another quick example. So there with that chair, again, if I choose edit family, you can see that the footrest is another family. That means I can select it and just delete it as one single thing. And again, load into project, click OK, overwrite the existing version, and there we go, and it'll remove them. So then all I need to remember is when I'm closing Revit, if I don't want the library version of that file to change, is to not save changes. So if you do want to save it, you could obviously save it into a different location, but just be careful of that, because when you've got a library that you want to remain consistent, it's important that you have the original version still retained there. Oh, you could, yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so that's, yes, I should show that as well.
If you wanted to change a chair to a different colour, you could just change the colour, would you actually download it?
So if you go to edit family, then you can change the material in there. And so, okay, so I can select it, and then you can see that the material there is set to Herman Miller, seat fabric, whatever, leather black. That's one way. But if the family's set up properly, you should be able to just select it and go to edit type, and you'll see the properties there that you can adjust. And so always look for that first, and you can see there we've got this leather parameter, and so I could browse there and change it to a new material.
So would have all their materials that you can change to.
Exactly, yeah.
Can you just show me where you've got there again?
So I've just selected the chair.
You didn't go into the...
No, I didn't choose edit family. I've just selected the chair, then edit type, and then
So when you double click on the piece of furniture,
that's a different thing.
Family,
Yeah.
when you just click and
Edit type.
that will, that's a better
Give you the properties. That's right. Exactly. Yep. So that's it. So so I'll give you some time to